Justice has a strange way of showing people who they really are. A courtroom can look plain from the outside, just wood, paper, and old walls. But once the truth starts talking, those walls hear everything. Some people walk in thinking money will protect them. Some walk in praying truth will. And on the day I heard this case, only one of those things stood a chance. You think you know where this story is going? Stay with me, because what happened in my courtroom that morning made even my bailiff stop breathing for a second. It was Monday, September 16th, 2025, in Providence, Rhode Island. Courtroom 3A. The wall clock said 9:14 in the morning. I had already heard 6 traffic cases, 1 landlord dispute, and a noise complaint from 2 brothers who had been fighting over a leaf blower. Then my clerk called case number 25 MC7714. The charge sheet looked simple at first glance: reckless driving, leaving the scene, property damage, harassment, contempt risk noted by the filing officer. But when I looked up, I knew simple had just left the building. The defendant was Vanessa Sterling, age 28. She entered late, not by accident. Some people are late because life is hard. This woman was late because she wanted the room to feel her arrival. She wore a white Balmain blazer, black leather Saint Laurent pants, and high heels with red soles so bright they looked like warning lights. A gold Cartier bracelet rested on one wrist, and a diamond watch sparkled on the other. Her handbag was a Hermes Birkin, the kind that costs more than many people's yearly rent. She carried her phone like it was a scepter. Her perfume reached the bench before her voice did. Her file told me the rest. Daughter of real estate developer Elliot Sterling, family money, old connections, political donations, charity galas, magazine covers. Her public Instagram account, Vanessa in Velvet, had 2.1 million followers, lifestyle influencer, luxury travel, fine dining, exotic cars. Her vehicle on the night in question was a pearl-white Lamborghini Urus with custom black rims and the plate VNS008. The victim's vehicle was a 2010 Honda Civic with a cracked rear light and 196,000 miles on it. That alone told a story before anyone spoke. The man seated at the other table was named Marcus Bell. He was 44 years old, Army veteran. 2 tours overseas, Bronze Star citation noted in the file. After leaving the service, he became a hospital transport aide at St. Anne's Medical Center. Night shift, honest work, hard work. He was also a single father, raising 2 children alone after his wife died of ovarian cancer in 2021. His daughter Lila was 12 and had severe asthma. His son Ben was 8 and still slept with the nightlight on because he said the dark felt too empty without his mother. Marcus stood when I looked at him. He nodded once, respectful, tired, proud in the quiet way. The incident happened on July 3, 2025 at 10:47 p.m. on Broad Street near the intersection with Pine. Marcus had just left Green Hill Pharmacy with an emergency refill for Lila's inhaler and a steroid prescription because she had been wheezing badly all afternoon. The receipt was in the evidence packet, time-stamped 10:31 p.m. He was driving home because his daughter was waiting, scared and struggling to breathe. Then Vanessa came speeding down Broad Street at 63 miles per hour in a 30 zone. That speed came from traffic camera unit B14 and was confirmed by Officer Daniel Ruiz, badge number 562. Vanessa tried to beat a yellow light. Marcus had the right of way. Her Lamborghini slammed into the backside of his Honda so hard it spun halfway onto the curb. The passenger window exploded. The pharmacy bag flew from the seat. One inhaler shot across the pavement and rolled toward a storm drain. The liquid medicine burst when it hit the road. Marcus cut his hand on shattered glass when he tried to grab it. A witness said he kept saying one thing over and over: "Please, I need that for my little girl." That sentence stayed with me. Before I go any further, let me ask you something. If you believe there should still be one place in this world where rich and poor are judged by the same truth, then stay with this story all the way through, because I promise you, this woman kept digging her own hole with every word she said. I asked Vanessa if she understood the charges. She crossed one leg over the other and said, "I understand I should not be here." I said, "You are here because of your actions." She smiled, but not kindly. "No, Judge, I'm here because people love a sob story." That got a reaction in the room, a low sound, not loud, but heavy. People know cruelty when they hear it. I called Marcus first. He told his story in a steady voice. No drama, no performance. He had just finished a double shift at the hospital. He picked up the medicine because Lila's chest had gotten tight again. He said when the crash happened, he didn't even think about the car first. He went straight for the inhaler in the street. He said, "My daughter had already gone to the ER twice this year, Your Honor. I was just trying to get home before it got bad." He held up the torn pharmacy bag. It was still stained from the medication that spilled onto the asphalt. Then I asked him what happened next. He paused. I could see he did not want to relive it. He said Vanessa got out of the Lamborghini, looked at the damage, and laughed. Not a nervous laugh, not a shocked laugh, a mean one. He said she looked at his Honda and said, "That thing should have died years ago." He told her his daughter needed the medicine. He asked for insurance. He said she rolled her eyes and lifted her phone to record him while he was kneeling in broken glass by the curb. Then she said, "Maybe cry louder. It'll help your case." Marcus's left hand shook when he said that. I asked him how his daughter got the medicine that night. He told me his neighbor, Mrs. Evelyn Ross from apartment 2C, drove him back to the pharmacy after police arrived. The inhaler was replaced. The liquid medicine was not. He got home after midnight. Lila had spent an hour sitting up in bed trying to breathe easier. Marcus said his son Ben was standing in the hallway crying because he thought his father had died in the crash. I have heard many hard things from that bench, but a child thinking his last parent is gone can cut through the strongest room. Officer Daniel Ruiz took the stand next. 15 years on the force, clean record, calm manner. He testified that when he arrived at 10:54 p.m., Marcus was bleeding from 2 fingers and picking medicine capsules off the street. Vanessa was standing beside her SUV on a FaceTime call. Officer Ruiz said he requested license and insurance. Vanessa answered, "Do you know who my father is?" He asked again. She said, "You people get very brave around expensive cars." He noted strong perfume, impatience, and open contempt. No sign of impairment strong enough for a drunk driving charge, but enough arrogance to fill the room twice. The prosecutor showed body camera footage. I watched Marcus kneeling near the curb while Officer Ruiz shined a flashlight under the storm drain. I watched Vanessa turn her camera toward him and say, "This is what happens when poor people smell opportunity." Then she laughed and asked if the angle was good. That was not a misunderstanding, that was character, raw and clear. Then came witness Sandra Kowalski, age 59, who had been waiting at the bus stop across the street. She walked with a cane and spoke with the kind of plain truth I have always trusted. She said Marcus kept begging for the medicine because his daughter needed it. She said Vanessa flipped her hair back, took $300 bills from her wallet, and tossed them near his feet. Then she said, "There, crawl for it." Sandra looked at me and said, "Judge, I served lunch at the Veterans Center for 11 years. I know dignity when I see it. That man had it. She tried to strip it away for fun." Vanessa leaned toward the microphone and said, "Please, is this a trial or open mic night?" I looked straight at her. "Miss Sterling, every person in this room will be heard with respect. That includes you if you choose to deserve it." She gave me a slow smile and said, "That sounds adorable." Some insults are loud, some are soft and poison the air. That one did both. The damage report came next. Marcus's Honda was declared a near total loss. Repair estimate, $8,000 in 64 hours. Rental car impossible because he had no money up front. Lost wages from missed shifts. Flazontium 46. Childcare gaps, another $320. Replacement medication and urgent clinic follow-up, $184.17. He had borrowed money from his aunt to cover rent that month. He had taken 2 buses and 1 borrowed ride to make it to work. His son had missed a school field trip because Marcus had no transport. Lila missed a breathing treatment class at the clinic because they simply could not get there. And through all of it, Vanessa looked bored. She kept glancing down at her phone. Finally, I said, "Put the device away." She replied, "My followers are more interested in justice than this room is." I said, "This is a court of law." She said, "Same thing now. People watch, people judge, someone wins." I have been on the bench for over 40 years. I know the difference between performance and truth. She did not. Around that point, the prosecutor asked permission to introduce digital evidence recovered that morning. Vanessa's lawyer was absent, but she had chosen to proceed. I granted it. The first image on the monitor was an Instagram story posted at 11:08 p.m., just minutes after the crash. There was the Lamborghini, polished and glowing under the streetlights. In the background, blurry but visible, was Marcus's crushed Honda and the police cruiser. Across the image in elegant gold letters were the words, "When a fake hero in a broke car tries to turn your night into his paycheck." Then came a laughing emoji and a salute emoji. Marcus lowered his head when that image appeared. The prosecutor asked if he had seen it before. He said yes. His son Ben saw a screenshot the next morning on another kid's phone at summer camp. The caption had gone viral in local circles. People in the comments called Marcus a scammer, a beggar, and worse. Someone wrote, "If the veteran wants money so bad, maybe he should have stayed deployed." Marcus's eyes filled when he repeated that in court. He did not cry, he did not break. He just stood there and carried the words like stones. Now let me tell you something. If you think this is the worst part, you are wrong. What came next is the moment this case stopped being about a crash and started becoming something far darker. So keep listening because the next piece of evidence changed everything in that courtroom. The second clip was from Snapchat recovered by digital forensics after a subpoena. Vanessa sat in the driver's seat of the Lamborghini, camera facing her. She was laughing, music played softly in the background. Then she tilted the phone toward the tow truck, hauling Marcus's Honda away, and said, "Tonight's charity project is still shaking by the curb. Somebody get this man an Oscar and a coupon." Another female voice laughed from the passenger seat. Vanessa added, "Maybe I should send him a toy inhaler, vintage edition." Even now I can hear the disgust that moved through the courtroom. Detective Leah Monroe from the cyber unit testified next. She said they also recovered a deleted TikTok draft saved at 2:23 a.m. on July 4th. It had never been posted, but it was stored in Vanessa's cloud backup. The caption read, "Traffic court tomorrow with the bargain bin veteran. Pray for the judge. These old guys love tears." Then, in the clip, Vanessa looked into the camera and said, "If the courtroom smells like bus fare and bad choices, I'm walking out." People in the gallery gasped. Even the bailiff looked at me before looking away. I asked Vanessa if the account was hers. She said, "Yes, but online is not real life." I said, "Tell that to the child who saw his father mocked." She shrugged and said, "Kids shouldn't be on social media." That was her answer. No regret, no shame, just a wall of polished selfishness. Then the prosecutor introduced something none of us had expected. Screenshots from a private group chat tied to a charity event called Honor Our Heroes Gala, held on June 28th at the Seabridge Hotel. Vanessa had been one of the event chairs. The fundraiser claimed to support veterans with housing and medical aid. In one message, Vanessa wrote, "Use more uniform photos. People donate faster when the hero looks tired." In another, she wrote, "Move the rehab receipts after the gala. Dad says no one audits small suffering." I read that line twice. Some words are so ugly your mind resists them. Then came the bigger shock. A woman entered from the rear of the courtroom in a dark navy suit carrying a federal file. She identified herself as Special Agent Elena Ruiz of the FBI Financial Crimes Division, credential number 7714, calm voice, straight spine, no showmanship. She said Vanessa Sterling was connected to an active investigation involving charity fraud, wire transfers, tax evasion, and misuse of donor funds through the Honor Our Heroes Foundation, which was linked to Sterling family business accounts. She said records showed money raised for wounded veterans had been routed into luxury purchases, including a private villa rental in Saint-Tropez, a diamond necklace from Cartier, and partial lease payments on the very Lamborghini in this case. Vanessa turned pale. She said, "This is insane." Agent Ruiz did not blink. She said, "Your own messages led us here." Then she produced one more record. A voice note sent from Vanessa's account at 1:14 a.m. on June 29th. The transcription read, "Take 50 from the veteran's account and park it under events. If anyone asks, say outreach costs went up." That was not sarcasm, that was not a joke. That was theft wearing silk gloves. Vanessa finally snapped. She stood up so fast her chair scraped the floor. "This is trash," she said. "You're all obsessed with me because I have what none of you ever will." Then she looked right at me and delivered the line that made the room go still. "With respect, Judge, men from your kind of neighborhoods should be grateful families like mine built the city you get to sit in." There it was, not just arrogance, contempt, class dressed up like royalty. I leaned forward. I kept my voice low. "Miss Sterling, I was raised by a father who worked with his hands and came home tired but honest. He taught me that money can buy comfort, but it cannot buy character. And today, you have shown this court exactly how poor a person can be while wearing diamonds." She opened her mouth, but for the first time all morning no words came out. "If you've made it this far, then you already know this is not just gossip, and this is not just drama. This is the moment truth strips status down to the bone. So tell me, were you expecting what was about to happen next? Because even after 40 years on the bench, I knew this was one of those days people would talk about for a long, long time." Agent Ruiz then revealed one last piece of evidence. The Charity Foundation had used Marcus Bell's old military photo without his permission in an online fundraising campaign. The ad showed him in uniform with the words, "Help our heroes breathe again." They had used his service, his face, and his sacrifice to collect money from strangers, while Vanessa mocked him in private and online. I asked Marcus if he had ever given consent. He said no. His voice was flat now, past pain, past shock, just exhaustion. "They used my uniform to raise money," he said, "then laughed when my daughter needed medicine. No speech from me could top that." Then someone else stood up in the gallery. I had noticed her earlier, sitting quietly near the back. Nurse Supervisor Carla Mendez from St. Anne's Medical Center. She had worked with Marcus for 7 years. I allowed her to speak briefly. She said Marcus had covered holiday shifts so younger nurses could be with their children. She said he once slept in his car during a snowstorm so he would not miss transporting patients for the morning team. She said when her own husband had a stroke, Marcus organized meals for her family without telling anyone. Then she looked at Vanessa and said, "That man has carried people for years. You couldn't even carry your own shame." That was the authority I needed most, not power from above. Truth from someone who had seen the victim in real life. I made my findings. Reckless driving, proven. Leaving the scene, proven. Harassment, proven. Contemptuous conduct in court, proven. Restitution was ordered in the amount of $10,662.81 for property damage, lost wages, medication loss, transportation hardship, and related costs. I suspended her license for 3 years. I ordered the Lamborghini impounded pending federal review and insurance compliance. Vanessa whispered, "My father will appeal everything." I said, "He may hire anyone he likes. He cannot hire a different truth." Then I moved to the part that mattered most. Punishment should hurt, yes, but if possible, it should also teach. "Miss Sterling," I said, "for 900 hours, this court orders supervised community service at the Providence Veterans Recovery Center and the Pediatric Respiratory Clinic at St. Anne's Medical Center. You will report in plain scrubs, no jewelry beyond a wedding band if applicable, no designer shoes, no recording devices, no social media content. You will clean waiting rooms, carry supply boxes, transport meals, wipe down chairs, fold blankets, and restock inhaler education kits for children with asthma." She looked at me like I had sentenced her to exile. "I can't do that," she said softly. I answered, "That is the first honest thing you've said all day. You can, you just don't want to." Then I added one final condition. For 12 Saturdays, she would attend the veteran family support meetings, funded in part by the restitution order, and listen in silence unless asked to speak. The woman who mocked service would now sit in rooms built by it. That is when reality finally touched her. Her hands trembled. Her lower lip shook. The Cartier bracelet clicked against the table. She reached for her Birkin bag and missed the handle the first time. She looked toward the back doors like maybe her father would arrive and sweep the whole room away, but no one came. That is the hard thing about truth. When it lands, it does not care who your family is. Marcus did not celebrate, he did not smile, he did not clap. He simply stood there with tired eyes and said, "Thank you, Your Honor." Then he added, "I didn't need revenge. I needed someone to say it was wrong." That sentence was worth more than anything Vanessa owned. The deputies stepped forward because the federal team needed to speak with her immediately after the hearing. As Vanessa turned, her handbag slipped from her arm and fell to the floor with a hard thud. For 1 second, nobody moved to pick it up. That silence said more than 100 speeches. Money had made noise all morning. Character had the last word. After the courtroom emptied, I sat for a moment and looked at the empty chairs. I have spent over 40 years in rooms like that. I have seen rich men beg. I have seen poor women show more grace than kings. I have learned that justice is not perfect, but when it works, it reminds people of something this world tries hard to forget. A person's value does not come from the car they drive, the brand they wear, or the family name they borrow. It comes from how they treat people who cannot do anything for them. My father used to tell me, "Watch how someone treats the person they think nobody sees." He was right. On that street at 10:47 p.m., Vanessa Sterling thought nobody important was watching when a veteran knelt in broken glass, trying to save medicine for his child. But truth was watching, the law was watching, and eventually justice was waiting. So if you take anything from this story, take this with you. In a real courtroom, your money may enter with you, but it cannot testify for you. Your followers cannot save you. Your last name cannot clean your soul. In the end, only your choices stand at that table, and on that day, hers stood there ugly and alone. Thank you for staying with me through this one. If this story meant something to you, stay close, because the next case I tell you may be even harder to forget.